Sarah Bond comments on the next generation of Xbox, gives us more info as to kind of what we can expect here. It is falling in line with what people were thinking. The Xbox developer kits, those are getting a price raise. We have some more posts from Shuhei Yoshida using the Xbox LIX and the Xbox handheld. And it's funny that he continuously posts the stuff. He is enjoying that handheld itself. And we have some updates here from some big games. Ball X Pit, phenomenal game. Some milestones for that. Arc Raiders gives us some more information on content that is coming to the game itself. And Halo creators, they didn't get credited for Battlefield 6, and they're pretty disappointed in that. So we will talk about all of these things. But before we do, if you do enjoy gaming content every single day, make sure to hit the subscribe, share the video, like it, all of that stuff. But for now, let's get into it. So the next generation Xbox has been a massive topic of discussion for better or for worse. You're going to have people up until literally the day it releases, even after it's been announced and shown off and prices and pre-orders have gone out, they're still going to think that Xbox is not creating more hardware. We've seen all of the fake rumors that were put out a few weeks ago about it being canceled, and then just all of the stuff happening ever since the price raises, where it almost seems like there is a new made up story about Xbox on a weekly basis. Lots of misinformation going out there. But Xbox has had to come out a few times and discuss the fact that they are still making a next generation console. They signed a deal with AMD, and everything as of right now is still in the works. Sarah Bond now was in another interview with Mashable talking about the ROG Xbox Ally X specifically. And in that interview was asked about the next generations of consoles. The interviewer mentioned that we've heard rumors it's potentially going to be a PC hybrid, and if she could comment on any of that. Now, she didn't specifically say it's going to be a PC hybrid, but she does point to the fact that the Xbox handhelds that are just been released are previewing somewhat of what they are looking to go towards with their next gen, which really, if you sit back and think logically about where Xbox has been going over these last number of years, making everything into one PC console, your saves are accessible no matter where you play, all of that stuff that has made the ecosystem very, very good. You can basically bet here that the next generation Xbox console is going to give you access to Steam, going to give you access to all of the other launchers out there like Epic Games and Ubisoft, and it is going to be a PC console hybrid. And to me, that is phenomenal. That is a best of both worlds, where I'm now finally getting access on an at-home console that I plug in to my TV, where I can sit back on the couch and get my entire library, or at least the majority of my library of gaming, because those are the two ecosystems that I play probably 90% of my games, PC and Xbox. So Sarah Bond comments, doesn't give us all of the info, but she does say this: the next gen console will be a very premium and high-end curated experience. You're starting to see some of the thinking we have in this handheld, but I don't want to give it all away. So reading into that, it gives me a couple of ideas, a couple of thoughts. It's going to be an expensive console. That is a fact. And I think one of the things with the Xbox handheld itself being $1,000, the LIX, and it's selling out and selling better, it sounds like, than the white ROG Xbox Ally. They're getting that idea that the enthusiasts and the people that are hardcore gamers are going to be spending that money regardless. If Xbox puts out a premium console, especially if it's giving you access to your entire library across PC and your Xbox console, and it's going to be powerful, where there's no compromise here. You're spending good money and you're going to get the best experiences that you can get on a console for years to come going forward. This isn't going to be something that I think that we see generally in consoles. A few years down the line, you're seeing developers kind of struggle to meet the original promises that were laid out at the beginning of the generation. I would assume if they're pushing a high-end price here in a premium device, that this console is going to be able to give us all the bells and whistles for a number of years down the line. And potentially, if it is going to be strictly curated, you're going to be able to upgrade it and put things within the console itself to continue to get the lifespan out of it. So that's where it sounds like they're going: premium Xbox PC hybrid, and it is going to give you probably the best gaming experience out there in a box that you plug in to your TV. Of course, you could build a PC, a mini PC or something that would probably be able to do it, but that would also be more expensive. Now, we take a look at some of the comments, just kind of what people are thinking about what she means by this. And this person says gaming is getting more expensive. And that is a fact. I mean, gaming is definitely getting more expensive. And it's unfortunate for people who won't be able to afford this. But my fingers are crossed here that they're still going to give another option, because she did also mention in that interview that that is what they're basically all about. That's why they made the lower end Xbox Ally, is to give people that option if they can't afford the high end premium device, but you're still going to have something out there that will be able to play those games. This person says it's going to cost $800. I bet I could definitely see it at 800. I wouldn't even be shocked if it is higher than that, 850, 900. That would not shock me at all. This person says translation will be an expensive PC with UI full of ads. Well, I don't know if it'll be full of ads, but it will be an expensive PC. This person says, I really hope the next console competes with pre-builts in pricing and they figure out a way to make it cheaper, since they'll essentially have 2 storefronts, maybe more. I think they'll have more. I think they'll have all the PC storefronts they can directly take a percentage from, and they could hit a home run next generation easy, but they'll probably fumble. And that is one thing that they have to work on, because people are still going to think that they're going to drop the ball here just because of the rakes that they have stepped on in the past. We have this person saying, okay, so I think one of the most important things they need is to nail what this is. The next one is the user interface. 100% agree with that point. No clutter, no ads, but unique and different than the Xbox One and the Series X. And I think the user interface is going to be the Xbox full screen experience. And I think the full screen experience is good, but I believe it has a lot of improvement that it needs. And we're going to see those improvements. By the time the next gen Xbox comes out, I would bet that the full screen experience is going to be somewhat different. Like, it's going to have a lot of updates and a lot of changes and a lot of kinks worked out of it. And it will more than likely be ready for that at-home console experience on a big screen TV. Right now, it's fine on the handheld, but there's still things that need to be worked out. But let's say in 2 years, when they do release this premium console in 2027, the full screen experience needs to be up to par, where it's giving you a great console-like experience with a controller in your hands. They're almost there. There just needs to be still major updates, and they're bringing out updates. They're bringing out updates next month and then into next year and beyond. So that's my guess, is what the next UI will be. Now, I don't believe there are any ads on the Xbox PC full screen experience app. Who knows if they'll add some in there. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to do what they have to do to make as much money as possible, because again, it's a major corporation, so you can never count those things out. Now, obviously this generation has been marred by price raises. Xbox has done it, but it's not just Xbox. PlayStation has raised the price of their console, and we are seeing it across the board, across all different devices, even like the PC handheld. Some of them went up in price after they did end up coming out. So it's not just affecting one company or one place. Price and is going up. Gaming is becoming more and more a luxury, and that's going to be unfortunate for a lot of people. But one of the things that you don't really hear about are the development kits, and apparently Xbox is now also raising the price of their development kits. So another Xbox thing that is going up in price. This comes via The Verge saying even Xbox developer kits are getting a big price hike. Now, it's $500, so I don't know how much of an effect $500 has on a developer who wants to go out and purchase these kits. I could be wrong. I don't know what that is, but $500 to me to develop these games isn't a massive price. Like, it's still a price hike, but it isn't a massive one, for just thinking about how much they're going to get out of that and how much they'll be able to easily make back that $500 if they do develop a good game. But I'm not a developer. So they say the current Xbox dev kit is moving from $1,500 to $2,000, a 33% jump in price. And it's, again, odd that they're doing this now at the end of the generation. They say the adjustment reflects macroeconomic developments. And in an announcement they put out, we remain committed to providing high quality tools and support for our development efforts. And the price increase to the dev kit comes just a month after the price increase of the Xbox Series X. They also say here that Microsoft is also blamed, saying changes in the macroeconomic condition, that's what they're blaming. And specifically, The Xbox console price hike last month, and both the increases to consoles and dev kits, 30% and 33% respectively, align with the Trump administration's 30% tariff on imports from China. A recent report suggests that Microsoft is pushing to produce more Xbox consoles outside of China in a clear attempt to reduce the impact on tariffs. Now, obviously, Trump's tariffs are trying to get these companies to produce their products in the United States. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to move out of China and then bring them to the US. They're probably going to go to another country that has less tariffs and still much cheaper to produce in the US. That's just my opinion, but we'll see what happens. They say the short announcement for Microsoft's Xbox developer relations team made it clear that this price increase goes into effect immediately. And he says, I understand it's not just impacting US developers, as the price of these development kits are also going up across Europe and elsewhere. And that's likely because of those macroeconomic conditions. So another thing here going up in price, the Xbox development kits. It's unfortunate that this is happening, and it's unfortunate that this is happening at the end of the generation, because you'd have to ask yourself if that $500, to me, $500 for the developer, it isn't that massive of a price raise. With everything else that goes into developing a game, $500 is probably a smaller end price increase that they're having to deal with. But still, a price increase is a price increase, and it is never good for your cost when you're trying to make as much money as possible. But my question would be here, does or will this affect developers wanting to put their games onto Xbox? Is that $500 going to be a deterrent for developers who were thinking about doing it? Maybe they were on the fence and now they're just not going to do it because of that. I don't think it's going to affect developers who are already set on putting their games on Xbox. I don't think that's going to deter them, but it's going to be the smaller devs that were on the fence and they're looking at the platforms where the most users are, and maybe they stray away. Hopefully it won't, but we'll have to see what this ends up affecting, if it has any major effect whatsoever. One person who's loving Xbox recently is Shuhei Yoshida, somebody who left PlayStation. We heard the information that did come out. He even discussed it himself, that he was kind of pushed into a different role that he wasn't really used to, and then ended up leaving PlayStation. Well, he has been posting about the Xbox Ally X now for a few days, ever since it did come out. He's been posting, and he seems to be actually loving the device. Here are some of the things that he has been putting out. We talked about one of them yesterday, but here are some other ones. This is an Xbox, is actually a PC, which is funny, plays right into the whole fanboy discussions back and forth. In fact, he actually hits on both sides of the discussion. Yes, it is an Xbox, and yes, it is a PC. It runs Windows 11, and it is a Windows 11 PC. I did a review or my thoughts after 48 hours with the device, if you want to go and check that out. He also, after that, confirms he is using it to play Ninja Gaiden 4, which I jumped into that one after beating Keeper. I know I'm going to love this game. I've enjoyed the series, and from my short time playing with it so far, I can't wait to continue to jump into that game. He also says this, the UX has a lot to desire other than Xbox Game Pass launcher, which is good, but you have to deal with Windows version of Steam, which is my main use case. I like the grip and performance, but the screen is okay and a bit cheap, plasticky feel for the buttons and finish. So those are some of his thoughts here on the actual device itself. And then he also posted that he's playing Ghost of Tsushima on the ROG Xbox Ally X. And he says it is now my favorite portable gaming PC. So he loves this device. He's given his criticism, and he's showing him playing PlayStation games. It's actually been pretty fun following him on social media recently, posting about the Handheld. But what's been even more fun has been seeing just the meltdowns from PlayStation fanboys. For some reason, they're so angry that people are enjoying this Xbox Handheld. They don't want anybody to have enjoyment with it. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen, because if you do have one, you're enjoying it. You can see what they have going for. Yeah, it's not perfect. Yes, I wouldn't recommend this to everybody. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it to a lot of people at the $1,000 price tag if you're only a console gamer. But if you are into this Handheld, you can see how great it is to use, and definitely the vision that Xbox is going for, which is going to continuously get better. All right. A new acquisition could be in the works, which could be impacting a lot of games, and specifically Warner Brothers and their gaming division, which we've heard about for a while now, that they've been looking to sell and get out of it. But now we have this update here from Insider Games saying Warner Brothers Discovery announced a sale bid, potentially impacting the gaming division. They say they have announced it is officially up for sale. So Warner Brothers Discovery is officially up for sale. And they say this is following the suspected breakdown of the deal between the firm and Paramount Global, which has dropped into the rear view. The news broke at the board of directors at WBD. They have kickstarted a review of a strategic alternative to maximize shareholder value. Now, what does it mean if it is sold specifically on the gaming side of things? I think that's the most important thing. If you're watching this channel, how would this affect gaming? Because they do have a ton of studios there and a ton of IPs. Like you think about the Batman series, you think about the Harry Potter, all of the stuff that they do end up putting out. They do say here that if it is sold, the stock price will become volatile and content and licensing deals and studio operations will be reshuffled and brands might have their faces changed. And this is all just as likely to impact Warner Brothers Discovery's television and movies arms, such as HBO and Discovery Plus, as it is the gaming arm. So who knows what could happen? You never know. If they do sell and there is some stuff that they have to cut, because when there are acquisitions, there are layoffs, there are closures. We've seen it always happen. You may see studios close. You may see the studios not get a second chance to make games, and some major IPs and licenses could be sold off. That could be something that could be up for grabs as well for other studios. You think about like Batman stuff, those games specifically. Imagine they were selling those or licensing those out to other developers in order to be able to continue to develop and make those games. So we'll see what happens here. Nothing has been sold yet, but you would bet that something is going to be coming soon. Who's going to jump in? That is the biggest question here. All right, a couple more things here. Ball X Pit, phenomenal game on Xbox Game Pass, and it is just so addicting. It's like Ball Breaker with Vampire Survivors, and it's a roguelike game, and there's base building and management as well incorporated with this. It's very, very cool, very unique, and extremely addicting and fun. I saw this game when they first announced it, and I talked about this on my channel multiple times that I thought this was going to be a hit, and it is a hit. They've now reached a major sales milestone days after its launch, so this is great for them. They say here that they have surpassed 300,000 sales across all platforms after it hit 100,000 sales in its first 24 hours. Specifically, the game, if you don't know, it's a brick-breaking, ball-fusing, base-building survival roguelike. Like, it is a mixture of so many different genres, and they made it work, and that is what's very impressive to me. And as of right now, it's overwhelming positive. 95% of its nearly 2,000 users have given a positive rating on Steam. And then you also have just after the launch on social media, Ball X Pit has been too overwhelmed for a formal announcement post, but Ball X Pit came out yesterday, and I'm stunned by the response. I'm very grateful to everyone who helped make it possible. And this comes via Kenny Sun, who is an indie game developer, made Ball X Pit, and yeah, he's incredible stuff here. It's such a fun game. It's another one of those Balatros that is going to be going from a small indie dev to a huge hit, selling tons and tons of copies, and hopefully winning some awards at the Game Awards, because I think as an indie game, it does deserve it. It is that fun in my opinion. So good for them. Now, Arc Raiders is coming out. That is the next big extraction shooter, and they've had the stress test on the servers. A lot of people love it. It is coming out very soon, and they've already planned 10 years worth of content. This is what the developers are saying about this. Specifically, Embark Studios thinks that Arc Raiders is a 10-year game, saying, I think internally for a very long time, we refer to this as Arc Raiders as a 10-year game. That is the ambition we are aiming for, and that dictates the type and quantity of content we want to put into it. So if you're planning on picking this game up when it does drop, right now they're planning 10 years of content, so you should be playing this for a long time, and we'll see what happens, because it is very hard to break in on that consistent basis with games like this to last 10 years. It's very few of them that are that strong for that many years, but right now it's looking very strong for the launch. We'll see how long it does last. The key obviously is continuous content to keep people engaged right off the bat, because people get bored fast when there's so much selection out there of games to play. If there's not something new within a month, people are gone. They're going to go back to the other game that they were playing, and then it's hard to pull them back in. That was probably the biggest detriment and failure that happened with Halo Infinite, is that they just weren't ready for continuous content. Arc Raiders obviously knows that that's how you have to run these games, and there's going to be more competition coming out, because Marathon is still coming out next year, and we'll see how that game does. People think it's DOA, but who knows? It's from Bungie. They've been able to pull in a large audience with their previous game. So it could be competition when that does drop. But Arc Raiders is looking like the extraction shooter to play as of right now. And finally, there's an interesting story here in terms of a medley of Halo and Battlefield 6, and the Halo co-creator saying that they weren't getting credited on Battlefield 6. Says that the Halo co-creator says he's disappointed he and some former colleagues weren't credited for their work on Battlefield 6. This is Marcus Leto, who obviously, mentioning here, he did work on the game itself, specifically with Ridgeline Games. They Electronic Arts back in October 2021 created this new studio led by Marcus Leto, and then we heard that they were focusing on first-person shooters, and it was going to be called Ridgeline Games. I believe this studio did end up getting shut down. They say here, Leto then left Ridgeline Games in February of 2024, saying that he had left EA on my own accord and was taking time away from games to see what, if anything, he wants to do next. And then following week, EA closed Ridgeline Games. So you probably heard that. Yeah, the studio was closing down. But he says here, I'm disappointed to see that many of my former teammates from Ridgeline Games were not properly credited in the recent release of Battlefield 6. These talented developers worked tirelessly for 1 to 2.5 years building the foundation of the game before I left voluntarily, and the studio was subsequently shuttered. So he says he left voluntarily and then it got closed right after. So timing weird there. Says despite their significant contributions, most who were laid off were relegated to a special thanks section at the very end of the credits, and several were omitted entirely, including myself, sharing an image of them basically not getting the credit that they did deserve. So I wonder what's going on here, why they wouldn't credit them. Was there more to this story, or did they just forget? This is like one of the few bad stories recently that has come out against Battlefield 6. Will people even care about this? Who knows? But unfortunately, if they did put that much time, 1.5 to 2 years of work, it's unfortunate if their names aren't credited, because I feel like if you put in that type of work, you're making these games, especially big games like Battlefield 6, it's probably one of the most rewarding things when the game is out, to see your name at the credits at the end of it all. So hopefully that does get rectified, and maybe it was just a mistake, but we'll see what happens there. I'm going to end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.